Today I have 5 strands of Christmas lights that we're going to look at. I have incandescent Christmas lights, I have Sylvania Christmas lights, RetroGlo VintaGlo Christmas lights, and I have Tru-tone Christmas lights. So these are all the mini versions, and what we're going to do is we're going to compare each of the colors, red, green, blue, and orange, and then some of them have pink, but not all of them have pink, so we will also compare the pink, and then we will go out at night and we'll see how they all look during the evening. So we're going to start right here with red during the day and just kind of get a close-up to see what they look like. So starting from one end to the other, I have incandescent, I have Sylvania, RetroGlo by Novelty Lights, VintaGlo by Marico, and then Tru-tone, their mini lights. So as you can see, color-wise, they look about the same. This is definitely darker on the VintaGlo, and then this Sylvania one on all of these is going to be a little bit bigger, and the light is about halfway up the strand or halfway up the bulb, which I do really like that. So these are all of the reds from incandescent to VintaGlo. So that's kind of what the reds look like during the day. And now let's move over to green. And yes, I spent some time gluing all of these colors to these boards over here to try to make it look pretty nice and kind of an even look at all of them. So here are the green. We have, like I said, we have incandescent, Sylvania, RetroGlo, VintaGlo, and Tru-tone. The Tru-tone one is definitely a little bit brighter when we're looking at it right here in the daylight. And then the green for the Sylvania does look a little bit darker. And on all of them, the VintaGlo, I think, looks darker. So these two are plastic. This one almost looks more plastic. And these three, I believe, are all glass. So that's the green. And now let's look over at the blue. And here we have the blue. The blue incandescent does look a little bit faded. These are used, so over time, the glass one definitely fades. So that's the benefit of the plastic of the Tru-tone and VintaGlo. But the blues, just kind of in the daylight, they do have the same shade of blue. You can definitely see some of the brightness on the Tru-tone down there. You can also see that the bottom are all the same color green, but the Tru-tone is a lighter green. And also remember, the Tru-tone has no flicker and the incandescent has no flicker. So here's the blue in the daylight, kind of let you see the paint color a little bit more before we come out when it's dark. But these two look about the same. This one has a little bit darker blue paint on it. And now let's go look at the yellow/orange. So this is yellow and orange because some sets have yellow and some sets have orange. So here we'll be able to see what set each set has. And yes, for you woodworking people, I do use pocket holes sometimes. So the incandescent set that I have has orange. The Sylvania set has orange. The RetroGlo by Novelty Lights has yellow. The VintaGlo set that I have the Yule set. It has yellow, and Tru-tone has an orange. So the yellows right here look about the same from the RetroGlo and the VintaGlo. And then the oranges are a little bit different, a little bit more orange over here on the Tru-tone, and then the incandescent orange. And then there's a lot of orange color coming out of the Sylvania. So those are the different colors you can see for the sets that have orange and the sets that have yellow. But you can also see the type of filament each one has. The incandescent is about halfway up. Like I said, Sylvania is halfway up, kind of gives an even light. The RetroGlo kind of has like a fairy light, just a little bulb in it. And then the VintaGlo kind of has a normal looking LED, and so does the Tru-tone, which is much brighter down there. And here we have the pink. Only 4 of these lights have pink on them. We have the incandescent right here. We have the Sylvania. We have the RetroGlo, and we have the Tru-tone. So here's the Tru-tone pink. And real quick, I'll see if I can just kind of pull up what a Tru-tone red looks like. So there is a little bit of a difference there. As you can see, it's a little bit more of the pink versus the Tru-tone red. So here we have the red with the pink. almost a purple looking on the RetroGlo. So we kind of have more pink, maybe a little bit more purple, and then we have kind of like a pinkish red. So let's look at this one. Here is the red for the Sylvania. The red is just basically a little bit darker. So when I was looking at it, I was like, it kind of looks like it could be red. So that's why I'm going to show you these. There's the red. It's a little bit darker than the pink. Just kind of putting them right there together. See? But the pink, so it kind of has like almost a red tint to it. And then the incandescent pink is right there. So out of all of these, the RetroGlo has the most purple look. The Tru-tone definitely looks pink, but when you kind of put it next to some of these, it looks like a little bit maybe towards the purple side. When it's by itself, it looks pink, and this is a really dark pink or almost purple. It's a little deceiving, so there's not much of a difference right there. That's the biggest one between the Sylvania red and the pink. All right, so that's just a quick overview of them during the daylight, and we'll come back. I'll do the same thing when it gets dark, comparing each one of them, and then we'll go put it on the bushes. Okay, now that it's dark, we have the red. We have the incandescent, we have the Sylvania, we have the RetroGlo, we have the VintaGlo, and we have the Tru-tone. So as you can see, there's all the reds right there. They don't actually look too different, camera and in person. This one maybe has a little bit of a tint of orange to it, which when you see the Sylvania, you'll see that the strand in itself does look pretty orange. But other than that, they do all look pretty close and pretty much the same. So now let's move over to green. Here we have the green. The brightest is definitely the Tru-tone over here, and the darkest is the VintaGlo. But other than that, even in real life, they look pretty much the same. Here's the incandescent to compare them to. The VintaGlo looks the darkest, stands out the most out of all of them. Mostly because it just doesn't have as much light coming from it. Tru-tone has a really bright spot right here on the bottom. Those are the greens. And next we have the blue. Here's the incandescent and Sylvania and RetroGlo, VintaGlo, and Tru-tone. And again, the Tru-tone just seems quite bright on the bottom. But you can see they all have a lot of blue, quite a bit of blue in these three. There's almost like a little bit of a teal blue kind of coming out from the incandescent right there, but it has a little bit of fading because it's been used for a while too. So over time they're gonna fade. So like we said, these plastic ones on the end probably won't fade. Actually, this blue on the RetroGlo kind of has the most consistent color. Not very bright, but those are the blues. Here we have the yellow and orange. We have the two oranges from my incandescent set, the Sylvania set, and the Tru-tone set, and then the two yellows from VintaGlo right here and RetroGlo right here. Or I guess it could kind of be an orange a little bit. This is a yellow on the RetroGlo, which is what makes the RetroGlo just so much brighter than the rest. But then again, as you can see here on the Tru-tone, it's even got the lines coming out. It's pretty bright over there, but there's, you know, maybe a little bit kind of fading onto it. So we got a little bit more, the most yellow here, and then Sylvania's got a pretty good orange, which is also, I think, what gives it that orange look with all of the colors when you have the whole set. And now let's look at the pink. And for the final color, we have our pinks. Our Tru-tone right here, RetroGlo right here, Sylvania and incandescent. So the Tru-tone has the most pink to it, and even the Sylvania kind of has a little bit of a red tint. So like I said in the color, so when you see the red on the bushes in a second, you'll see that it definitely has a very orange look to it. And all of the colors on the Sylvania have an orange just kind of tint to them. So there's a lot of orange in the Sylvania. I hope I'm saying all these names right because it's definitely a lot when I'm trying to say all the different ones. So you have incandescent, Sylvania, RetroGlo, no VintaGlo pink for me, and a pink from Tru-tone. So now let's go put them on the bushes and see what they all look like. Here are all 5 brands of lights on my back bushes. So I have all these little round bushes, so I put 1 set on each bush. So let's look to see if you can tell the difference between each light, or which one do you think you like the most. Color-wise, they all look about the same when you stand back like this. This one over here is maybe a little bit darker, and these kind of 3 right here are a little bit brighter. This one is definitely the brightest. This one is probably the orangest back here, and then these 2 have a little bit brighter colors. This one's a little bit brighter back here. So can you tell which is the incandescent? We'll start with that. Which one do you think is the incandescent? Incandescent is right here. These are the incandescent lights all the way over here on the left. The next light we will do is the back corner up here, and those are the Sylvania lights. So from back here, they don't look too bad. If you like the little bit more orange glow, they give you a little bit more of that orange glow on the lights. And then we change to over here in this back one, and we have the RetroGlo lights from Novelty Lights back here. So we have incandescent, Sylvania, RetroGlo, and then these over here are the VintaGlo by Marico. So they're probably the least bright of all of the lights. If you kind of look at behind the bulb, you can see how much it lights up the greenery behind it. And then in the middle is the Tru-tone lights. I think the Tru-tones are the brightest of all of the lights. And then the dimmest are probably the VintaGlo and even maybe the Sylvania back here. When you compare the incandescent over here to all of the rest, they look about the same. The Tru-tone are obviously the brightest. They come out brighter on the camera. When I just have them all out here, they actually look really good. So they don't seem to be as bright, but you can definitely tell they're brighter, especially when they're next to the VintaGlo over here. There's definitely a difference. I'll turn down my camera a little bit and we'll see kind of if you can tell. So I'll turn down the camera a little bit, kind of get more of the definition of each bulb. And as you can see, still the brightest from the Tru-tone in the middle. However, these have no flicker and these have no flicker. In a second, we'll test the flicker and see if we can notice any. But I'm just standing outside and they don't actually, to me, have enough flicker that I would even notice, especially if you're just walking by. Sometimes the way I really notice is if I'm moving the lights or if I move my head really fast. But because I'm further away from the lights right now, I really don't notice anything. But these are the 5 lights right here. Which ones do you think look the best? Even if you put all of them right next to each other, it's kind of hard to tell. I think the ones that stand out the most as being different are the VintaGlo. And inside, I really like the VintaGlo. We have the VintaGlo inside around our fireplace, and I think those are my favorite to have inside because they're just not as bright, and they definitely give off like a dimmer but a beautiful look. Tru-tone on the inside, I think is a little bright, but if you put the Tru-tone outside, they're probably the better one outside because if you're not going to be right next to it, you'll be on the road looking at your house, and they kind of stand out. They have good bright color to them. Incandescent over here looks really good. Honestly, the RetroGlo back here, which I didn't really like all the yellow, now that I'm further back from it, it's not too bad. The yellow doesn't stand out as much, probably because they're more spaced out. And the Sylvania actually really are really good, because they're the cheapest of all of these. And so, if you're just going for the cheapest and you think it looks close enough and you like the orangish look, the Sylvania has a really good look back there. So now let's look at the flicker rate on all of these. Only 2 of them should not flicker, these 2 right here. So right here, I churned up the frame rate to 120. So see if it'll notice any little bit more flicker. You can kind of see like the black line moving around the lights. You get a little bit up here, see how they're kind of going in and out. This right here shouldn't change too much. So as you can see how it's staying nice and bright, as is the incandescent. This is the Tru-tone and the incandescent. They're staying the same color, even though these are changing. Even over here, let's see what the VintaGlo does. Yeah, see how it kind of dims out a little bit? So you can tell that the incandescent and the Tru-tone definitely keep the no flicker, which is what they're advertised, and keep the same look the whole time. But even at 120 FPS, it's not terrible. We're not picking up too much flicker over here, but you can really tell the difference how these are not changing right here. So these are all of the lights. I enjoy learning from everybody in the comments, teaching me new things. So let me know which colors